Welcome to Integrated. This is the podcast where we seek to bridge the gap between the intellect and the will so that we can grow as disciples of Christ, surrendering all that we are and all that we have to the truth. Hey guys, my name is Angela Erickson. Thank you for joining me for another episode of An Apostle's Screed. I want to touch on a few current events right now. And I think some people might wonder why does Angela always talk about abortion or some of these other issues? I think it's because there are a lot of things that are missed in the conversation, and because our understanding of our very nature is very important to understanding how to integrate the intellect, the will, the mind, body, and soul in a way that really is properly ordered towards glorifying God, which is our natural end, right? Like, our natural end is to be in union with God, worshiping Him for all of eternity. So I'm glad you're here. It's good to see. I have a couple of people watching. I'd love to chat with you guys more. But first, if you are new here, please subscribe, hit the like button, and make sure you click on the bell too, so that you get notified when I go live. Oh, thank you, Epo Rose One. I really appreciate that. It's not every day I get complimented on my makeup, so thank you. It's really good to see you too. First of all, I feel like I have to share this with you guys. I've learned a couple of things over the last couple of days about my life. And the first one is that I married a man who does not know how to spell the word banana. And I say that because yesterday he left me a note with the bananas asking me to make banana bread, which was funny because yesterday actually happened. Another thing I learned yesterday happened to be the anniversary, or it was like National Banana Day or something. So that was really funny. Hi, Mary. It's good to see you back in the chat. It was really funny to me. So anyway, I made the banana bread and had to teach him when he got home from work and was enjoying his banana bread how to spell the word banana, which was really funny. But also, I learned that I can't trust my kids with scissors. I was sitting at the table today. Basically, I can't trust anyone. I can't trust anyone in my house. I was sitting at the table helping my 6-year-old with his math, and all of a sudden I hear this snip. right kind of in my ear on the other side, and I turned and I looked at my daughter, and she's standing there with scissors in her hands. She's 4 years old. We call her the honey badger. And I look down on the floor and see hair clippings on the floor, and it took everything I had not to laugh. I mean, it was one of those weird parenting moments where you're upset, but objectively, if you were watching the situation from the outside, it was hilarious. And so I was torn from laughing at her and laughing at the situation, and also being really angry because she just cut off a bunch of my hair. So anyway, I've learned so much today, and I have my 4-year-old to thank for that. Yeah, the honey badger. She is the honey badger. She is very sweet. She's like one of those Sour Patch Kids. Remember those commercials where you have the Sour Patch Kid, sour, sweet, gone? That is her. She can be really feisty. And then in an instant, she is just sweet as honey, cuddling. She can be very nurturing. She loves to pretend to be a mom. She loves to be in the kitchen and try to cook with me. But yeah, she's kind of ragey, and she just does these wild things very impulsively sometimes because she's 4. So anyway, it was really funny. I shouldn't say that. I hope she doesn't know that I think it's kind of hilarious, but I tried to be angry with her a little bit. Not really, but I tried to get her to understand that it's not okay to cut people's hair, especially not without their permission. So hopefully she learned that today. We're all learning together here. So back to what I wanted to talk about today. First of all, this is a screed. This is what this is about. So now I get to get on my soapbox, which doesn't happen very often, at least not publicly or in this kind of a setting. So I want to talk about what's going on with the FDA right now, because I think there's a lot of confusion out there about what's going on with the FDA with regards to the mifepristone and what we are looking at as a nation in a post-Dobbs world when it comes to the use of abortifacients to kill children and chemical abortions, because chemical abortions have been on the rise for a very long time. It's a very lucrative. They cost almost as much as a surgical abortion. So it's very lucrative and non-invasive for providers, but also in the event that they fail, then they get to charge for another abortion. So they can be very lucrative with how women are using them today. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And so I would like to talk about some of that. The FDA, for those of you who don't know, initially they made basically like an emergency use authorization, kind of. It's not the exact same thing, but they allowed for the use of for mifepristone under these circumstances, which can be loosely translated any circumstance pretty much, but basically declared that we needed access to this because without the proper safety trials, by the way, without the proper evidence-based research that needed to be done and is required for the use of these different medications, they declared it to be pregnancy itself to be an illness, which I think we need to talk about that. I haven't seen anyone talking about that, but here's the dichotomy is on one hand, you have the FDA claiming that pregnancy is an illness. And on the other hand, you have a very lucrative fertility industry in which they are doing all of these medical procedures to get women pregnant. Does anyone see how absolutely crazy that is? So on one hand, pregnancy is an illness, but on the other, we're trying to get people sick. Is this the medical industry admitting that they are in the business of keeping people sick? It's so weird. That's so weird. Is this lucrative? Are we just capitalizing on women and fear to make money off of them indefinitely, no matter what direction that they go? I mean, this is where I can see that the criticism for capitalism can be very legitimate, because we do make money off of everything. There is always an industry to solve every single problem, and to contrive problems. You see it even with this transgender movement. You're pushing for surgeries and all these things for kids younger and younger, and that makes them lifelong customers for hormone treatment and all these other surgeries. It's insane. They are capitalizing on people, turning them into products themselves and keeping them buying as consumers endlessly. And so you have the FDA doing all this stuff. And you see with the mifepristone, it's just really dangerous. I mean, we saw with how everything was handled during COVID. I think that was the first time for many of us that we really started to second guess how these agencies operate, especially all these three-letter agencies. So what do we know about mifepristone? Mifepristone is the first drug used in an abortion, in a chemical abortion. And what this drug does essentially is cuts off the progesterone from the baby. So the baby is not receiving the sustenance and nourishment that it needs to develop to the point where it can actually receive nutrition from the mom through the placenta and all that stuff, and through just normal mechanisms. So at the earliest stages, the child grows and develops due to the progesterone. That's what it needs to grow and for the cells to multiply and to be in a proper, safe environment. And so when that is cut off, the baby will die. And then the second drug in the regimen helps induce contraction so that the child is then expelled. It's really important to know how that works. And that's why also when we're talking about treating miscarriage or preventing miscarriage, women who are prone to miscarriage often do go on a progesterone regimen so that they can help the baby, so that the baby lives. And that's why it's always so ridiculous to me when you have people letting women who have received the first abortion pill know that there is something called abortion pill reversal. It is a regimen of progesterone injections to help restart progesterone in the body and to continue nourishing the child so that it can grow and develop appropriately, in case a woman ever changes her mind. And for all of those who claim that this is somehow unsafe or that it doesn't work, that's ridiculous. It's what we use for women who are experiencing or on the brink of miscarriage. Sorry, this is Veronica. She hasn't been on for a while. We got your pacifier here. So that's the first thing. This is what the drug does. Second, what do we know about the drug in terms of safety? Well, it's really not that safe. I mean, sure, you might have people who live and survive after using it. Many women have used it. But that doesn't necessarily make it safe. Sorry, this child, she's crabby today. The FDA knows, or at least the research demonstrates, that this is 4 times more dangerous than surgical abortion on average. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up on some of the comments here. So it's 4 times more dangerous than surgical abortion. They know that. 7% of women end up with complications and end up in the ER or in urgent care. And the number of women who have complications is actually probably much higher. You think of the vaccine adverse reaction reporting system, VAERS, and how few people actually do report their vaccine injuries. The same can be said in this case as well. Often even what happens is that it gets miscoded as a miscarriage when these women come in, or they lie and say that they're having a miscarriage. It's just, there are so many issues with that. So it's likely higher, the number of women who are having adverse reactions, needing additional care after they have this. And why is that? Well, it can cause a lot of excessive bleeding and hemorrhaging, things like that. But often this drug is prescribed for women to induce abortion, even if she is past what would be considered an appropriate gestational age for that child. So like if the child is further along than they realize, there's a very high chance. I mean, it's upwards of like 39% just in the second trimester that there's going to be a failure rate, which then they have to go in and do another abortion if they want to continue on with ending this child's life. So it's just extremely problematic, especially in an age where telemed abortion is more prevalent. There are a lot of practitioners. What? I might have to like step away for a couple of minutes. I'm so sorry. I gotta figure out what this kiddo wants. So I'll just hold on for just a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, we'll see if she's good for a couple minutes. So anyway, I think all that stuff needs to be highlighted. And what's going on right now, I think there's, like I said, there's a lot of confusion because there was a judge that said this stuff couldn't be sold anymore, and then somebody else blocked his ruling. And so what is kind of the status right now? Well, the Supreme Court is going to be making a ruling on whether or not these things can be delivered through mail order, because these abortion drugs are being sent in the mail without proper verification of pregnancy, without confirming that it's the woman who is receiving it. So of course you have pimps, sex traffickers, abusers. Even there was a story this week that I saw of a mom who procured abortion drugs for her teenage daughter and tried forcing her daughter to take these abortion drugs to kill her own grandchild. And this isn't a one-off thing. There are many, many stories of women being forced into having abortions with the use of chemical abortions, or boyfriends slipping it in her drinks and food and things like that. This is not as uncommon as people would like you to think. And that's the thing about abortion. It has always been used as a tool to continue abuse. That's why even killing a child in those instances of rape is a great tragedy, because it allows the abuser to continue abusing without any evidence of his crime, except for the abortions, in which case most abortion facilities do not report the abuse. It's absolutely crazy to me that we're just making it easier, right? It's not about keeping women safe. It's about making access to this easier, not just for women, but for everybody. pretty much. And this current administration right now is so hyper focused on making abortion as accessible as possible that they are doing everything that they can to flout any sort of regulation or laws that have been in place. The FDA was not allowed to send this in the mail until COVID. They used COVID and not meeting people in person as an excuse to start sending this stuff through the mail. And how damaging that has been to just, I mean, it's just extremely dangerous for women, and they won't acknowledge it. They're going to have to, hopefully. Hopefully, they'll be held to account for that. But this is why this is so problematic. This is why this is really important, and I think people need to understand what's going on. Until I think Friday, I think they're making a ruling tomorrow, the Supreme Court, to determine whether or not they can continue to distribute mifepristone. After I know what I'm reading, at least in LifeSite News, is that mifepristone can be distributed until Friday, though that could change soon after, pending the justice's final decision. So we need to be praying that we get this stuff out of the hands of abusers, that people see how dangerous this really is, because we just want to save lives. It's not, yes, we want to save the babies' lives. Obviously, we want this to be less accessible. We don't want women having any abortions whatsoever, but we also need to keep these women safe. A lot of them are being exploited and coerced. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. I did make a reel on it on my Instagram, and it's funny because like nobody is seeing it, even though this has been shared several times. So if you are on Instagram, go watch it, like it, because I asked my own CVS if they're selling the abortion drugs, and the pharmacist in there kind of trips over himself and says, yeah, actually I have the video, I should show you. And if you are on Instagram, go watch it. So I'm going to show it to you really quick, and then I want you to head over there at some point, go like it and share it so that people are getting accurate information about what is going on with these drugs. Sorry. And of course, my kids stole my mouse, and I have a hard time moving my cursor and moving my screen up and down without it. Maybe I won't get to watch or show the clip. Here we go. This should do it. All right.
Thank you for choosing CVS Pharmacy. If you're dropping off a new prescription.
Hi, I need to pick up a prescription, and I have a quick question for you guys. Are you going to be selling the abortion drugs here at the CVS? The mifepristone and misoprostol, RE486? But this location will be carrying it. Okay. And you guys know that that's more dangerous than surgical abortion, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to argue on...
Yeah. No, I'm just letting you know, because that's pretty serious stuff right there. I know you're not in charge. I'm not blaming you. I just want to inform you, because that's a very big thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Want a copy of your receipts?
No, thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, so what I found really interesting was that I just asked him if they were selling it. There's Veronica. And he thought I was being combative with him just for trying to inform him. But I would love to see more people doing that, going and talking to their pharmacists. I live in a very conservative community, and I hope that more people are talking to our pharmacists and say, do you know this is really dangerous? Do you know that this is 4 times more dangerous than surgical abortion? Do you know that 7% of these women are ending up in the ER or at urgent care? That's a really high percent. That is thousands of women every year that need extra medical attention because of these drugs. So it's not a small number. You would never... She's like a little octopus right now. She's grabbing everything. but you wouldn't see such a rate of failure and danger to women, or anyone for that matter, with pretty much any other drug, and see it continue to receive approval. So really important that we're putting this information out there. I have some articles linked in my description where you can read up more, especially from people from like the Charlotte Lozier Institute. They've even published articles in Newsweek about it from individuals from Charlotte Lozier Institute, which is a great institute, great research arm if you're interested in getting more information about that. Yes, Nicholas, we actually, in some parts of Minnesota, once you get out of the cities, it actually is far more conservative, but yeah. MK Ultra or Bud Light or something, I don't know. Yeah, Walgreens is also selling the drug. I mean, selling the mifepristone. They do all that stuff. They sell the Plan B, of course. They're doing the RU 486 prescriptions. And like I said, abusers are getting access to this stuff through mail order. Pharmacists are prescribing it now that weren't before, because the Biden administration wants to make it as accessible as possible. It's kind of like where many people, even colleges, are starting to offer Plan B in vending machines on campus. It's like, what kind of a society do we live in where we think that we need to have this stuff everywhere? Like, are we really this depraved? Is everyone really just having all of this, not like all of this sex and getting pregnant all the time? It's like, it's even more interesting because the rates with which individuals are having sex is actually going down, premarital sex, because of pornography. You're seeing pornography use rise, and a lot of people would much rather do that than get into a relationship with somebody. They have so much access to pornography. So I think Jason Everett talked about this on Matt Fradd's podcast recently, but he explains why the rates of premarital sex are going down, and it's not all for the best reasons. So I definitely would encourage you to look at that. Let's see. I'd rather we stop using the PC medical terminology and use blunt, honest words of what's being done to babies. Yeah, I agree with you. The only thing is that I found is that it's not very persuasive when you're trying to convince somebody that abortion is wrong. Like, you have to get them there. You have to walk them there. And I've just found that in terms of apologetics, it's easier to meet them on their own language and terms and use their language to sort of draw them out from that. Otherwise, you're just butting heads. Because you're coming at it from a completely different worldview, and so you have to address the difference in that fundamental worldview. So that's my only thought. Yes, I think conservatives, especially on a political level, not the people going out and engaging in conversation, but on a political level, yeah, we need to be extremely clear about this. There shouldn't be dumbing down the conversation about abortion and sort of sensitizing it for everybody. That's a big part of the problem, right? We have completely euphemized the whole conversation around abortion. I mean, it's called reproductive health care. It's called, reproductive justice, all these other things, equality. It's all couched in these really nice terms, choice. And yet it's murder. It's the killing of innocent human beings. It is totally contrary to our human nature and dignity. So which states are the most Catholic and pro-life? I would say a lot of the southern states are much better about this. Yeah, and Veronica is everybody's favorite co-host, by the way. Someday she'll know that. So I know Texas they just signed a heartbeat law, which is really awesome. Florida, I think, is getting there. You have places like Alabama and Arkansas and Mississippi are all pretty pro-life. So I would say kind of right in there. You get more into the Bible Belt and people are definitely more pro-life. It is absolutely infanticide, but even more than that, you are seeing a trend towards infanticide, which is honestly the more intellectually honest position. I remember, gosh, how many years ago now, I was going to college campuses, and this one's going to grind your gears, you guys. So I was at the University of Viterbo in Wisconsin, and I was doing a display. What was it called? Was it like the We Are Human display or something, or the human rights? campaign or something like that for Students for Life of America. And so we had these big displays, these banners, and people could look at fetal development, and then they could use like a sticky and put where they believed human life began. And then we could talk to them about it and say, okay, why did you mark that you believe human life or personhood is established at this point in gestation, and all these other things. So it was a great conversation starter. I had a professor this is a Catholic university. He was a professor of Franciscan ethics of all things. And he came to the display and he marked that he was in support of infanticide. This is a professor at a Catholic university. And so we talked briefly about it, and he said, I'm going to class, but maybe I'll bring my class out here and we could talk about this. And so anyway, he did. He brought his entire class out, and I was able to engage him in front of his entire class about why his reasoning was so poor on this issue, and why infanticide is the logical extension of abortion. If there's nothing like there's nothing substantially different about the baby in utero 3 minutes before it's born and 3 minutes after it's born, then of course infanticide is going to be acceptable to these people. David Boonin is a famous philosopher and so-called ethicist, and he is in favor of infanticide. He believes, he remarks how adult pigs are actually more intellectually complex and are more quote unquote intelligent than infants, and therefore they deserve more human rights than even infants do. And so it would be more wrong, in his opinion, to kill an adult pig than it would be to kill a newborn child. So yeah, yeah, sorry, Nicholas, you are correct. And she's got a lighter. Sorry. Where did you? I'm telling you, she is an octopus. You're finding everything. I have a candle on my desk that I light. Oh, she's gonna get mad. All right, you can, I guess, play with the lighter. Just don't chew on it. So anyway, all of those things, it is a logical extension, because there's not it. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the video by Laura Klassen. She's kind of she's anti-Catholic, but she has some really great content. She's Canadian, and she has this video called "The Magical Birth Canal," and you should really watch it. It's hilarious. She like has like a fake birth canal, and she's like sliding a baby in and out and going, it's a human, now it's not a human, not human. It's just really funny, but it is sort of treated that way, I think, for a lot of people. So all of that said, I guess I want to move on to the next. Yeah, Ipo Rose, she is very anti-Catholic. She has I know. You guys are so funny. Yeah, I know. She's my 5th kid, so it's like you kind of give up on some things. Yeah, she's like a fundamentalist. And I've seen her come after Catholics on her social media before. It's been I don't pay attention anymore, because I just sort of, it was annoying to me. But that's okay. It's her platform. She can do what she wants, I guess. Anyway, so the next topic I wanted to talk about was this transgender issue, because I haven't seen too many people talk about this component of it. And of course, I feel like everyone's talking about transgenderism. Everybody is talking about, the Daily Wire crew and how enraged trans activists have become. I mean, it's not really surprising, though. I mean, Antifa has used the same rage to sort of coerce and force people into accepting them and their behavior as normal. And so we're just seeing like the same thing with trans activists, but I actually am more concerned about trans activists, because they really are explicitly calling for violence. It's pretty evident that is happening. And watch, now this video is going to get pulled. But what my question is that if transgender people shouldn't compete against women in sports, like, I mean, a lot of lesbians and gay people, there's a good account called Gays Against Groomers talking about all this. But like, if we acknowledge that they shouldn't be competing against women in sports because they're biologically different and their physiology makes them stronger, faster, all that stuff, then why is it that in a post-sexual revolution world, no, in a post-sexual revolution world, we continue to persist in changing all of the norms for women being in the military, being in law enforcement, all these things. It's not just sports that are physically demanding. It's not just sports where like women are like not equally yoked with men in that sense. Obviously, firefighters, law enforcement, the military, all of these things. Why aren't we talking about that? Like, I saw somebody post something about it on Twitter the other day, and I was like, yeah, like, she's totally right. No one's talking about this. We have to start talking about this. And that's, traditionalists have been talking about this for a long time. But where's the rest of the world? Like, if we acknowledge that men are biologically different and they're so much stronger, then why do we continue? Like, no wonder our military is weaker than it has ever been. If I'm in a fire or something and I need help, of course I want a man to come and do the work. I wouldn't trust another woman to carry my dead body weight. Why do we do this? And so I want to see more people talking about that. Especially with all the grooming that's going on, like the United Nations promoting sex with, or trying to normalize rape with children. It's not consensual. They're claiming consensual sex. Children cannot consent to sex. Okay. And now, because of all this transgenderism, the normalization of pedophilia, which is rampant and everywhere, and it always is in a pagan culture. We're not just in a post-Christian cult, like we're not just in a postmodern culture. We're not just in a post-Christian culture. It is a pagan culture. We are far past that point. And we're normalizing this stuff, that's just what happens in pagan cultures, is they take advantage of children. And so I think all the more that we need to be louder about our Catholic faith, the truth of the Catholic faith, the truth about human dignity and sexuality, what it's properly ordered towards, and protecting our children. I just think I'm tired of people being afraid to say anything. Like the fact that I come on here and say these things and I think it's probably going to get taken off the interwebs. Why am I so worried? Why is that a problem? And you're so right, Mac. It's like, why is it common sense is completely gone? And I think a lot of it is that the government schools are making people dumb. We're not learning logic. We're not learning how to think for ourselves. You see some of these kids today, they have hundreds of thousands of followers online and they're just screaming into their phones about nonsense. Completely removed. Does she still have the pencil? Oh yeah. she might stab me with it. I have one kid cutting my hair off in the morning and another kid stabbing me in the eye with a pencil later. It's fine. But it is a natural progression. It's of course exactly what we should expect. It's not surprising. And conservatives have been anticipating this for a long time. It's always been declared the slippery slope. And yet we have this problem of conservatives. They see where it's going and they capitulate. Like they know all about how the Overton window works and they don't care. Like we're not conserving anything. What do we do at this point? What do you guys think we should do at this point? Because for me, I don't know. What do we do? Do we, we live in this two-party system and some of us would love to see that change, but can it change? I don't know. Something has to change. We need some kind of a revolution. And I do think that, I don't know, there's something that has to be done. I would love to hear, what some of you guys think about. I'm open to different ideas. Something is really wrong. This culture is so broken. I understand why so many people think we're in the end times right now and are waiting for the apocalypse and the rapture and all this stuff. And so much of it has to do with the breakdown of the family. It has to do with the sexual revolution. It has to do with taking moms out of the home and I just always think about Adam and Eve and how, Eve took from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which I just feel like is feminism. And Adam watched Like he watched and then he participated after her, just like one of those beta males that you see today who are super pro-abortion because it's convenient for them, or because they just, oh, I support you in whatever decision you make. You hear that a lot. Are we just reliving the fall of Adam and Eve in a modern way through the sexual revolution? It seems to me we are. It seems to me to be the exact same story played out in our modern age. And what is it going to take? I mean, it might just be God coming, but what do we do in the meantime? I know, sweetheart. I know. I'm such a big meanie taking the pencil away. Oh, I don't know why she's so angsty right now. So anyway, I just think all that needs, in the UN, we need to be calling this out more, talking to our legislators, our representatives. We also need good Catholics in government. I might have to go off early. That's too bad. I was going to tell you guys one thing I want everyone to look at before I get off is something I love, which is what some of my favorite music. I wanted to start. I'm so sorry, you guys. I wanted to start doing a segment on here called Something That I Love, just because I don't want to be so caught up talking all the time about complete degradation and how society is just falling apart. So something good that I would love for you guys to look into, anyone who wants to or who likes music a lot. Something I love is this artist. Her name is Sarah Sparks, and she has this whole album called Into the Lantern Waste. And for any of you guys who are big C.S. Lewis fans, especially with the Chronicles of Narnia, you have to listen to it. It is more of like an American folk music, and it's beautiful, well done, lots of harmonizing. It's beautiful. But she wrote an entire album going through different stories within the Chronicles of Narnia. And so something I love, if you guys like music, you like listening to something uplifting or introspective, it's just really well done. It's not cheesy music. Go check out Sarah Sparks. I put her music, I put a link to her website in the description for you guys so you can find it. I'm obsessed with it. If you have kids, my kids love it. I've been reading the Chronicles of Narnia to my kids. And so we listen to it a lot. And now my oldest always asks, is this song about so-and-so? And there's one song by Eustace Scrub, which maybe I'll get into more in depth sometime, but it is so good. Every single one of us has been Eustace Scrub. And I just loved the way that she wrote the song. It's just beautiful and well done. So something I love. I hope you guys like it too. You should let me know if you guys give it a listen and what you think, especially if you have kids and you read Chronicles of Narnia to them. Let me know what they think too. And the last part of this Screed, I just wanted to give an update. I'm going out of town this weekend to a silent retreat. It is my first ever silent retreat. And I would just really appreciate your prayers. There are definitely some things in my life that have been that I need to discern. There are a lot of things that I need to discern. And yeah, I just would so appreciate you guys praying for me. I will be praying for you while I'm there as well. So I'll be totally off of social media this weekend. I leave tomorrow morning, and then I'll come back Sunday afternoon. And so I'll be back in touch with you guys on Monday. But thank you so much for coming on. No. And what's a baby to do? I know. What else? And I guess I should open it up. If you guys have any last minute questions, I'll give you a second to post those here in the chat. And then I'll let you guys go. And thank you so much for your prayers. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's just been a really interesting time. This year has been really interesting. So lots of things to pray about. And God is so good. His providence is so good. It was honestly an answered prayer. I've been praying to go on retreat for months now. My husband is the one who kind of said, Angela, you need to go and you need to go on a retreat. I would like you to go on a retreat. And also pray for Veronica while I'm gone, because this is the first time that I'm leaving her for more than a few hours. She has not been away from me for more than a few hours, and she's over a year old. So there's that part of me that is just afraid that it's going to be traumatizing for her. I know she'll be fine. I know I'll be okay, but that part really freaks me out. It just tugs on my mama heart. I mean, she sleeps with us in bed every night. I don't know. I'm really nervous about it. So if you could pray for her too, I would really, really appreciate it. Yes, she is currently safe from scissors and lighters. I'm nursing her right now. Um, so she's very safe. But thank you so much for your prayers. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of, of my Apostle Screed, and we'll be in touch. I'll be back next week for another Apostle Screed. I'm going to start doing these every Friday at 2:30 Central. And I have some other great stuff coming up. And then the last thing I'll say is if you want to support my work, feel free to head over to my website and give a one-time gift. Otherwise, join me over on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, and you can be a part of that little community. I'm trying to grow and cultivate that more. I would love to see you guys in there just so I can, meet some of you guys more. I've made some really good friends that are in there, but also, it helps me cover my monthly expenses for, hosting a website and different social media costs, equipment costs when I need to replace them, especially if my kids break something, or there's so many things that go on behind the scenes that require funding. So if anyone wants to make sure that this apostolate continues on, feel free to join me on Patreon. There's also a link in the description. Once again, if you liked this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, and, I'll see you guys very, very soon. God bless you.